Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Diaspora Dispatches, where we get to bring you the latest from the continent of Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board. And we shall start our bulletin this afternoon from South Sudan, where President Salva Kiir has said the revitalized peace agreement is on track, despite what he described as a bumpy road on the implementation. In a press conference Monday afternoon, the president said the implementation of the peace agreement is on track despite the bumpy road. And the president also said that the country will ensure the full implementation of the agreement, and that will be done having sustainable dialogue among the parties in the process of dialogue. And he also said that the parties in the implementation of the complex agreement must have a similar view. On Sunday evening, security forces were deployed in some areas within the city, including around the residence of first Vice President Riek Machar. And in a separate development, President Kiir says his forces did not declare war against SPLM-AIO. Kiir said the statement by SSPDF spokesperson that the army has declared war on SPLM-AIO was a personal statement and does not represent the stance of SPLM-IG. And then still staying with South Sudan, and South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has issued a directive to declassify intelligence reports on how the country's long-running civil war began. President Salva Kiir said all those found culpable of offenses by the released materials will be granted presidential pardon. The declassification expected to help in the process of national reconciliation and healing, he said in an address on Monday. It is the first time the president has issued such a directive, and yes, I'm sure it will be interesting to see how this, the content of that letter. And we move on to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Democratic Republic of Congo's army says Rwandan soldiers backed the M23 rebels during an attack on Monday near its border with Rwanda and Uganda. Democratic Republic of Congo's army said it has captured 2 Rwandan soldiers, including involved in the attack, and presented them at a press conference. But in a rejoinder, the governor of Rwanda's western province said the Rwandan army was not by any means involved in the belligerent activities in Congo. Francois Habitegeko also disowned names of the alleged Rwandan soldiers captured in Congo and said the Congolese army should have used verification mechanisms between the two countries. The Congolese army had said the rebels attacked its position in Shanzu and Runyonyi. It added that all measures have been taken to quickly restore authority in the two regions. The UN has regularly accused Rwanda and Uganda of supporting the M23, although both governments deny the allegation. The rebel group, made up of army deserters who are mainly ethnic Tutsis, was named after 23 March 2009 peace deal signed by the government and a former militia. And then we head on over to Nigeria, and gunmen in the country are reported to have abducted an unknown number of passengers from a train in the northern Kaduna state. The gang mined the track between the capital Abuja and the Kaduna city and forced the evening train to a halt. Many of the nearly 1,000 passengers on board took shelters as shots were fired. One man is reported to have been killed after the gunmen boarded the train. The security forces have now intervened and taken those injured to hospital following increased attacks and kidnappings on the main road between Abuja and Kaduna. Many travelers now prefer to travel by train. This is the second time the railway has been attacked in the last 6 months. Kidnapping for ransom has become a commonplace in the northern Nigeria, and the bandits, as they are known locally, are becoming increasingly bold. On Saturday, they attacked Kaduna's international airport. And then we head over to Central African Republic, and the AFP news agency reports that week-long peace talks in the Central African Republic ended on Sunday and without any real progress. The country has been gripped by civil war since 2013, yet none of the rebel groups active in the conflict had been invited to last week's discussion. The forum was also boycotted by the political opposition, AFP has reported. Discussions between the government, civil society and the opposition had been pledged by President Faustin Archange Todora back in 2020 when he won a second term in power. AFP reports that there was no particular tension during talks when the possibility of a constitutional change during a head of state to stand for a third term was proposed before being later withdrawn. And then we go to Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe's opposition party, the Citizens Coalition for Change, has won 19 out of the 28 parliamentary seats in Saturday's by-election. The ruling ZANU-PF party won the remaining 9, seizing the 2 opposition seats. Both parties are describing the results as wins. It's particularly symbolic for the CCC, though, whose leader described this as a resounding victory, although he said the polls were neither free nor fair. If the party's first election contest since breaking, it is the first first election contest since breaking away from the Movement for Democratic Change MDC in January. This win gives leader Nelson Chamisa the legitimacy that was stripped when the MDC expelled him last year. The MDC won no seats, taking no votes at some polling stations. The opposition has lost some ground in this poll. Local government, which are not confirmed, suggests ZANU-PF has also been able to capitalize on the opposition's internal conflict and win several wards in urban areas. And then we head over back to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and this time the DRC is expected to join the East African community today in a bid to boost its trade, social cohesion and security. The official ceremony will be held virtually, followed by a summit to inaugurate EAC's new member state, bordering 5 member states of the organization: Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda and South Sudan. The DRC was assessed from June 25th to July 5th on its level of compliance and with the organization. Similarly, the DRC and Tanzania control almost equally almost all the Lake Tanganyika. Similarly, as early as June 2019, Kinshasa had expressed its willingness to join the organization in a letter to Paul Kagame, the then current chairperson of the East African Community Heads of States Summit. Among the advantages of the DRC are the integration of the East African country into the common telecommunications space, which will reduce cost with neighboring countries, and of course several other administrative facilities. The DRC is also expected to benefit from reduced tariffs for goods received at the ports of Mombasa, that is in Kenya, and Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. All right, and that marks the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Perhaps a couple of stories that I'd like for us to just, look at quickly. And of course, the attack on the train in Nigeria, very brazen attack, and the issue of, security in Nigeria continues to worsen by the day, and the government, of course, seems to have no clue on how to deal with the matters in security in Nigeria. So now they're even targeting this terrorist group, these extremist groups. They're now targeting, the transport system, which they have been along the highways. And so many people, because of that, have chosen now to use the train, and that has become their target. And for them to hijack a whole train with nearly 1,000 people, I mean, there's no safe place in Nigeria. And I think at this point, Nigerians are tired. Of course, President Buhari will come and express his disappointment and perhaps send his condolences to the people who will have lost their lives from this. And because a couple of people were also kidnapped, who were in the train. So this is worrying in levels that we've not seen in this continent before. So something needs to be done. Something needs to be done, because these kidnappings are just not the usual kidnappings. And we know that kidnapping has become a very profitable business in Nigeria, but now it's taking on a different turn that is very dangerous, that is very worrying, and that requires something to be done soon. I'm not surprised that the talks that were happening or supposed to happen at Central African Republic, I told you about these talks last week. So apparently no progress is being made, because President Tedore, who announced, another organization, I think, prepared these talks. It was supposed to be a national reconciliation talks where everybody was supposed to come on board, and because we know there has been some political tension in Central African Republic, and we know it's just one of those countries in Africa that have been a bit restive. They've not known peace for quite a while now, and they're just reeling off a civil war a couple of years ago. And so it's important when everybody, the stakeholders, come on deck and everybody is represented on the table, so that they can have a genuine national reconciliation talks. But even as these talks were being prepared, the key leaders in the opposition are not invited. So I wondered how these talks were supposed to happen. I wonder if the government was supposed to reconcile with itself. If you were speaking about true reconciliation, then you have to bring everybody on board, because everybody has to be represented, especially those key leaders that represent a huge number of people in Central African Republic who feel as though, they're being treated unfairly, or their voices do not matter, or things like that. You must have them represented on the table, So when this was organized, that part of the electorate was not represented. The key people in the opposition are not present in these talks. I wondered, how will these talks go, and how will these reconciliation efforts work? Apparently, it's not working very good, so there's no progress that has been made. I think that was expected, so hopefully they will look at that and do better. And the issue of DR Congo accusing Rwandan soldiers of being part of the M23, backing the M23 rebels. I think this is something that is not new, and there's an attack here I told you about yesterday. So now Democratic Republic of Congo's army is accusing Rwanda of Rwanda's army of supporting these M23 rebels. Uganda and Rwanda have been accused of fueling and being part of the chaos that we see in northern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Ituri province, and that larger province, that larger northern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And of course, they have vehemently, refuted this claim. So now, after the attack, the DRC army, they're saying they arrested about 2 army generals who they're saying are from Rwanda, but the Rwandese army is coming out and saying, hey, those are not our officials, those are not our officers, so you should have confirmed with us first. As if Rwanda would admit, even if assuming this were it's true that these are army generals from Rwanda. You think Rwanda would come outrightly and say, yes, those are our people, and yes, they were trying to attack you guys from that other side, despite the fact that, we're out here trying to support the government of Felix Tshisekedi to fight these militants. You think Rwanda will admit to that? I don't think so. But of course, Rwanda has refuted these claims, so that I think will continue fueling that feud that we see building in the Greater Lake, region up there. And hopefully, I don't know how that will play out, but that is not very good news. All right. So anyway, President Salva Kiir is expressing a lot of confidence in the peace process. I was giving you the update yesterday of some things that have transpired in the recent past that perhaps, is not auguring well as far as the peace process is concerned. But President Kiir has said his administration and the stakeholders in South Sudan are committed into implementing the peace process. The road is bumpy, he admitted, but nevertheless, the focus and the goal still remains that they have to implement this. They have to realize, some of these are very important articles. And of course, he refuted the claims that SPLMIO, political bureau, had said that their army men were being attacked at their cantonment site by other army officials, other sides of the security forces allied to the president and others. And he said that is not true, but he said he's committed, the country is committed to implementing. So I think that is the main thing, and that is the most important thing. But I think these other tensions and that is simmering also that needs to be addressed so that it doesn't get out of proportion. I was just talking to a friend of mine from South Sudan, and they were telling me that there's really nothing to worry about so much. Because I said, the events that are happening and transpiring in South Sudan, it's worrying as far as the peace process is concerned. And they said, no, It's nothing new, and they don't expect that things will get out of hand like they did in 2013 and like they did in 2016. And that is what President Salva Kiir seems to be saying. And just to add on to what happened in 2013 and 2016, President Salva Kiir now is saying that the intelligence report around what really transpired during the 2013-2016 civil war that broke out in the country will be declassified. So there will be a matter of public record, so we'll be able to access and see what exactly happened. But he went a step further and said that those found culpable of the offences by the released materials will be granted presidential pardon. So he's saying as much as this information will be out of public, anybody who has been named to have, taken part in these skirmishes and these clashes who bear responsibility, the president will pardon them. And this, he says, is in the spirit of reconciliation and bringing the country together. All right, I think that is a good step. But I really want to know, I really want to read through these reports first. And then, because the issue in South Sudan has been the issue of lack of accountability. You keep sweeping things under the rag. While forgiveness is good, because wrongs were done in both sides. Everybody was culpable, okay? Everybody was culpable in both sides, contributed and have contributed to the mess we see in South Sudan. But you keep sweeping things under the rag, and this blanket forgiveness and just pardon. I don't know if that will, because now people just continue causing problems and with impunity because they know nobody will hold them accountable. So on one hand, I think it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's good for the healing and the coming together of the country. On the other hand, people continue doing what they're doing as far as causing mayhem and human rights abuses and all these things, and they know there's nothing that will be done to them. They'll just walk away and they'll do things with impunity in South Sudan. So I think this is a very dicey situation. But at first, want to look at the content of that intelligence report, and maybe once I've heard that, we can have a further conversation. Okay, so that is what we had time for you today this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Diaspora Dispatches. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Bye-bye for now.